I want to do another segment on the recent leak of tax information about American billionaires that was leaked by ProPublica recently, because I am seeing a ton of people seemingly misunderstanding the significance of the story. ProPublica leaked the taxes of some of the wealthiest people in the United States, and they came up with something they're calling the true tax rate. Now, the true tax rate is an interesting metric, but it's important to understand that the true tax rate is not something that is related to tax law. The true tax rate, as called by ProPublica, relates to how much did you pay in taxes relative to how much your net worth went up. And that includes something we call unrealized gains in the United States. This may not be something anybody cares about, but I think this is a really important detail to understand. The true tax rate that ProPublica came up with is based on an idea that is not how we tax people in the United States. In the U.S., we tax people from an income and capital gains standpoint on realized gains in just about every situation. If your stock portfolio doubles, but you don't sell any stock, you don't pay taxes on those gains because you've not realized those gains. Now, what is an exception to that, and it's an important exception, is property taxes on real estate. In property taxes, there's something called the assessed value of your property. So if you own a property and you buy it and it's assessed by your city as being worth $400,000, you pay a yearly property tax on $400,000 of value. Now, if in the next year, the value of the property goes up to $500,000 and the city comes by and reassesses your property at $500,000, even though you didn't sell the property, in a sense, you didn't realize the gains, you immediately pay more taxes. That is an exception in the United States. But generally speaking, in the U.S., we do not pay taxes on unrealized gains. We don't have that for stocks. We don't have that for bonds. If people want that, you have to lobby for it. So I think that the ProPublica article was very interesting, not because Warren Buffett is doing anything wrong or illegal by not paying taxes on unrealized stock market gains. That's not Warren Buffett's doing. It's not even really a loophole. It's the way the system is designed. It's not even, you're not really circumventing the letter nor the spirit of the law. In the United States, as if we didn't know it, we have a system that favors people who earn money from assets rather than who earn money from labor. When you go out and work and you get paid a salary or an hourly wage, you are realizing those gains immediately as far as the tax code is concerned. You took your labor, you went to work for a week, you sold your labor and you got money. You've realized the gains on the sale of your labor, and now you immediately pay taxes. We call that income taxes. On the contrary, when my Tesla stock, right, doubled and tripled and quadrupled and quintupled, right, it went crazy. I didn't pay any taxes on it until I panic sold half of it stupidly because I thought Elon Musk was going to be absolutely destroyed for smoking pot with Joe Rogan and saying I might take the company private or whatever it was. So I panic sold half of my stock. I realized the gains and then I paid taxes on it. That's the way things work. So the important takeaway for me from the ProPublica story is if you want to change that, you have to change the reality of how the tax system works. And there's a misunderstanding about it in the sense that the true tax rate, as described by ProPublica, it's not a real thing. And none of the billionaires are breaking the law. We just have a system where you pay taxes on realized gains and wages. Now, there's also a different take on the story that is pretty funny. I came across this yesterday when researching my segment on the online left. I mentioned that the Hills show or channel Rising has new hosts. I found out about this a couple days ago. The one clip I saw, I'm not even going to play it because I don't want to give it any attention. The one clip I saw, the two new hosts, who I guess it's the idea that you've got a left and a right wing host now still on the Hill. They were agreeing. The issue with the ProPublica story is that the tax information leaked at all. Guys, that is not it. You know, we can talk about, these are private citizens. There's a discussion to have about obtaining and leaking people's taxes. But the big hot take on this story from hosts supposedly on the left and right is how did we even learn about this stuff? And that's really wrong. They sound like the people who, after Edward Snowden exposed all of these bulk surveillance techniques that are extremely oppressive in terms of the violation of privacy and really do very little to prevent terrorism. there were a couple people after that who were saying, I can't believe that this was made public and that now we know about it. We need to focus on how it was made public. Give me a break, guys. That is not the story here. But there is a real story here, and it's an interesting one. And it is, again, just the reminder that in the U.S., we have a system that heavily favors making money from assets rather than making money from working. Let me know your thoughts. You can find me on Twitter at @dpakman.